Are you someone who struggles to get out of the bed in the morning when your alarm goes off? Well, you're not alone. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. And so today I want to share with you my number one tip to help you start winning the morning. And welcome to Coffee Chats with Chett. Every week you can join me on Monday morning where I share a tip, insight, story, all with the mission of helping you chase your potential. So stay tuned until the end of the video because I will leave a coaching question every single week for you to reflect on that will help you become that next best version of yourself. Let's get into the video. Win the morning, win the day. Have you heard that expression before? I certainly have, and honestly, it was something that haunted me in my 20s because I was in the mind frame where I wanted to optimize absolutely everything in my day, and I knew how important it was to be able to get up in the morning, get out of bed, work out, do an amazing morning routine, and then get to work. And honestly, it felt like such a mountain to overcome because when my alarm would go off in the morning, I would think about what I needed to do, and that hardness and that idea of getting out of bed and jumping to my workout clothes honestly didn't motivate me. And it led me to pressing snooze, snooze, snooze until either my partner yelled at me or I needed to get out of bed because I was going to be late for work. So obviously that wasn't ideal. And honestly, for someone like myself who is a high achiever, when this was happening in my knees, it really ate me up inside. I started to feel like a perpetual failure because I just couldn't figure out how to start this habit successfully. And then I started to read a little bit more about habit stacking and the psychology of habit stacking and how to go about creating a successful habit. And this is what really changed everything for me. I read the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And in that book, he talks about a really simple concept. And so he says that in order to create a successful habit, you need a trigger, an action, and a reward. And so I started to experiment a little bit more with that simple methodology. And flash forward 7 years later, here I am, and I successfully get out of the morning every single day between 5:30 and 6 a.m. I have my morning routine that really sets the day for me, and it's very rare that I miss it. And so this is what I did. So what really changed for me when thinking about that methodology of trigger, action, reward is that instead of thinking about something hard that I needed to do when my alarm went off in the morning, I replaced that with doing something that actually brought me joy and got me excited. And so as an example, for me, from this isn't going to be a big shocker, but just from the name of my channel, I really love drinking coffee, and that's one of my favorite things to do in the morning. And so I started to think about the coffee that I could drink the moment I got out of bed. The other thing that I really love to do is learn and read. And so I started to think about the book that I was reading and how excited I was to continue to read it, or if I was really tired, honestly. What gets me excited in the morning is getting an opportunity to catch up on some YouTube and watch some of the videos of some of the people that I follow that really bring me some inspiration, energy, and motivation in the morning. And so I started to replace my action and my reward. And so my trigger was still my alarm clock, but my action was getting out of bed because I thought about my reward, and I thought about that coffee. I thought about the book that I was reading. I thought about the opportunity to get some inspiration and motivation. And then the other thing for me, like honestly, like I'm an introvert, and I spend 90% of my day at work in meetings. So because I am an executive, most of my day is full of meetings. And so I'm giving a lot of energy out throughout the day. And then my evenings are all reserved for my family, and I really want to be intentional to be super present for them. And so in order for me to get what I need in terms of restoring some energy through some of the alone time that I need, the truth is my mornings are really the only time that I have to do that. And so that's another part of my reward, is thinking about that alone time that I get to really restore my energy levels. And so I focused on that habit first and foremost. And once I became consistent in that, I started to move to the second habit that I wanted to build, again, to become that future version of myself. And that was to consistently start working out. And so what I started to do was set a second alarm clock, typically around 7 a.m. And once that would go off, I would do a quick 10-minute meditation and then go and work out. I was already in my workout clothes because I put my workout clothes beside my bed at night. So it's the first thing that I put on in the morning. And then my reward is the endorphins, the dopamine that I feel after working out in the morning. And so my second habit that I do now is, the trigger is 7 a.m. My second alarm goes off. I do a 10-minute meditation. I go and work out, which are my actions. And then my reward is the endorphins, the dopamine that I feel, especially after doing something hard in the morning. For me, it really helps to set the day, set the foundation for a successful day full of energy to take on whatever is thrown in front of me. And I've also found that by first starting my day with something that really gets me excited, like drinking coffee, reading, finding different inspiration online, just having that alone time, by the time my second alarm clock goes off, I've also had time to just remind myself of my why, of my goals, of things that I need to do to really make me feel good and prepared to take on whatever is in front of me. And so by the time my second alarm clock goes off, I already have some motivation and willpower to start taking on something that's a little bit harder, which is having the energy and the discipline to go and work out. All right, now it's time for your coaching of the week. So I want you to think about that person that you want to become, that we keep talking about, because anchoring on that vision of who you want to become is going to become the sustaining motivation that you need for all of this work. And then breaking it down into the goal that you want to achieve, and then breaking it down even further. What habits do you need to start creating in order to get to that goal, to become that person that you want to become? And then zoom in on one habit that you've been struggling with. Now that you're focusing on that one habit, here is your coaching this week. So when you think about that habit, I want you to break it down. I want you to break it down into the 3 things that we just talked about. What is the trigger for you that means that, okay, it's time for me to take this action that I need to take? And then I want you to think about the reward that you're going to get after you take that action. So trigger, action, reward. Again, for me, I started with, how can I start getting up early in the morning consistently? So my trigger was my alarm clock. My action was getting out of bed. And my reward was coffee, learning, reading, growing, alone time. So that was enough for me to consistently unlock me developing that habit. And it's super important, super critical to start with one habit at a time. Oftentimes, we'll get this splurge of motivation and we'll want to take on absolutely everything all at once. And I'm telling you, that is a recipe for failure. Start slow, start one at a time, then you can start stacking your habits after that. And that is your key to long-term sustainability as it pertains to creating the habits that you need to create in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, in order to become that next version of yourself. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I have so enjoyed hearing from all of you, reaching out, whether that's on LinkedIn, whether that's through email, or whether it's through the in-person runnings that I have with some of you. So thanks for letting me know what is working, what you are enjoying, and what's helping, because that really does feed my energy and motivation for me to do this. Like, that is my reward of this weekly posting that I'm trying to build in terms of the habit that I'm creating. And so please keep sharing with me what's working, what do you like. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, I'm always open to hearing that as well. And if this is providing you with any value, and if it's helping you at all, the best way to let me know is to like this video, leave a comment on this video, and to subscribe so that you can join me weekly in growing and achieving and becoming that next version of who you want to become. That is the ultimate reward for me. And so I hope to see you weekly. Click that subscribe button and have a really amazing week.